All right, and we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. My name is Maddie Mindling. I'm part of the Tongal community team, and joining me today to talk about green screening under quarantine is filmmaker and VFX artist Sam CF. All the way from Malaysia, by the way. So welcome, Sam. Good morning on your side of the world.
Good evening to you.
Looks like you have your cup of joe with you, your coffee.
Oh yeah, this one. Weapon of choice.
Yeah, first line of defense for any creator.
Yeah.
How is your work from home been going?
It's been going great. So I've been working from home all my life.
Yeah.
For the past 2 years. So this quarantine is nothing to me.
Yeah, this is just a typical day at the office for you.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you are staying productive and staying connected with some of the creators that you've been working with. So today you're going to be walking us through how to make the most of your green screen while in quarantine. So given the current situation right now, have you really had to think through how to incorporate more green screen into your current projects?
Sorry, again the question.
Oh yeah, so given kind of the current situation and the restrictions on physical production, have you had to kind of think through how to use green screen more in your projects?
Yes, definitely green screen plus stock footage maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because since the shutdown doesn't allow us to get out from our home for more than 5 kilometers, so I think green screen will help a lot.
Great. Do you feel like you've been able to maintain the quality and production value of your work using green screen?
Yeah, it allows me to use locations that otherwise I wouldn't be able to get
So like
in traditional setting.
So faking locations.
So as a private jet, no problem. What
Where
else? Stadium, no problem.
How about vacation? Can you do like palm trees and?
Yes, even in the moon.
Yeah.
Mars.
Oh, hey, if you want to do a Cinespace project, you'd be perfect for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for everyone watching, this live stream is part of a series of Tongal-sponsored creative workshops to keep you motivated and help you learn new skills or start new ventures as we all do our part to keep our communities healthy and safe. So if you have a skill that you'd like to teach with us via live stream, like Sam is doing now, please reach out to our team at info@Tongal and let's chat. And also keep an eye on our Facebook and our hub page, our live stream hub page for upcoming workshops. Our lovely moderators can post a link to our live stream hub in the forum. And also Tongal has been working around the clock to secure more remote opportunities for creators and to develop more online programming such as this. Most of the projects that you're going to be seeing going forward on our platform will you'll likely be able to do remotely or either a very scaled back version of. So yeah, if you're just joining us, please introduce yourselves in the forum. Tell us where you're from, what kind of work you do. We'd love to say hello as more people tune in. And of course, if you have any questions throughout, just ask them in the Facebook or YouTube forum. Wherever you might be watching this, we'll be checking those forums periodically. Let's see if we got anyone so far. And so, yeah, as we were kind of thinking about topics to cover within our educational live streams, we thought about all the filmmakers out there right now who've had to scale back or even cancel some of their projects due to concerns related to COVID-19. And how we can help them, to stay innovative and resourceful as they, continue to create from home or on a smaller scale. So Sam, you've made a name for yourself around the Tongal office over the past year for your very skillful and deft use of green screen, and not just on projects for clients, but also for creating proof of concept videos when you're pitching on projects. Basically providing the client with a visual treatment of your idea. And it's become a pretty successful strategy for you. And it's something we'll dig into a little bit later. But when did you first start using green screen in your work? And how has it helped you grow your production company in Malaysia?
Green screen, actually, I started working on it 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a music video for a theme song for a TV series in Malaysia. So it was a pretty low stakes project. Did it as a favor for a friend. So the concept that they gave me was the talent has to travel from different eras, from 50s to 60s to 70s, 80s to 90s to 2000s, and walk through those eras seamlessly. So I said, oh, this, you need a green screen for this. So I tried my hands at green screen, not even using After Effects. I was using some amateur program like Sony Vegas.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So that was my first green screen project.
Did you have to find actual props for each of those decades, or did you do everything through green screen?
There were props for each of those decades. The only thing that was generated was the background.
Okay, very cool. That's awesome. That's a really big challenge for your first green screen project, to have to create multiple decades. So that
I was instructing the DP, like, make sure you shoot it right. Make sure you shoot it right.
Right. It is a lot of, I think, what we'll talk about.
It was really
today.
scary.
No, it's nerve-wracking, and I think we'll talk a lot about lighting today, because that has a huge impact on how realistic you can make your green screen look. So yeah, this the subject is very technical. Sam's actually created a number of pre-recorded demos for us to watch together, to teach us a variety of techniques on green screen using his green screen. And because you are using the resources that you have available to you right now, your daughter helped you in making these demos. So we thank both of you for your work on these.
Most welcome.
Hopefully she can get some extra credit for class.
Maybe.
And as we were coming up again with the curriculum of today's live stream, we realized that there may be two types of people watching this today. Those who are just getting started in green screen. Maybe you've never used it before, but you've always had it in the back of your head that, hey, this is something I'd love to incorporate into my production mix. Or those who may already have some green screen experience and want to lean on that right now to maintain the quality of their productions and continue to work from home and scale back their operations. So we'll be touching on topics for both those audiences today. I promise it's going to start a little bit beginner, but we will get into some, I think, more technical subjects as well. And Sam has been creating what you're calling a contingency plan that you've been working on just in case you have to work from home longer than expected. And so he'll be sharing that with us and what each of those contingencies consist of. But first, let's get to know our guest a little bit more. So Sam, how did you get started as a filmmaker?
I started out doing music video. I started as a music producer, and then from there, I started making music videos for the people I produced for. And then I got cast in a McDonald's commercial, the lead, to eat the burger. But when I was doing music video, I thought I was the bomb. Like, I thought, whoa, I knew everything. But when I went to the set, the commercial, I realized I didn't even know what is a DP at that time.
Oh, wow.
So I spoke to the DP and learned a lot from him. And then after that, I upped my game and joined the production house. And then I started freelancing, and then came to Tongal. Now Tongal full time.
Now Tongal full time. What is the creative industry like in Malaysia?
I guess it's pretty much like the States, but on a smaller scale.
And are most of your clients local or international?
Actually, only Tongal for now.
Okay, so pretty international then. Good. Do you have like a core team that you collaborate with?
Core team. I have different personnels for different stuff. So let's say basically this job requires this kind of DP. So I'll ask this DP to work on that job. And then normally the DP will bring his own crew to me.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I have a core team of a core choice of probably 4 to 5 DPs.
Just depending on
what if you are talking about core team in terms of like in an office setting, we come up with concepts and all that. But I haven't had the opportunity to do that since I freelanced. But I would love to start having a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, start to hire and then make sure the team acts in my pitch video.
Right, and it helps because we'll get into your cloning skills later on.
So I don't have to clone anymore.
You have been cloning yourself to do your proof of concepts, which is pretty.
Yeah.
I think is pretty resourceful right now, especially if you can't bring in other people into your home. So how did you learn to become a master of green screen? Was this online or through a program?
I'm not master. I'm just an imposter, actually. So this is Hollywood and this is me. But I'm trying to like bridge the gap slowly. Right. So where did I learn? Mostly YouTube, actually.
For YouTube, okay.
Yeah, and then before I joined Tongal, and before I freelanced, and I was at a production house as a director, I used to bring my stuff to a VFX post-production house to do VFX work. That time I don't know anything about VFX, so now I'm learning slightly from those VFX artists. Like sometimes I just WhatsApp, ask them, hey, how are you going to do this? How to do that?
That's nice when you have friends. Yeah. Hey, if they want to teach any skills on our live stream, let me know.
Oh, okay.
Nice. But it is nice to have friends who can sort of relay that knowledge to you.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, some people watching today, maybe completely two green screens. So we're going to show you the basic setup.
I like the pun.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That one's for free. Some of the basic tools and equipment that Sam recommends for getting started and really allows you to, hit the ground running. You may even be surprised by what you can use in place of a green screen. So I'm going to go ahead and play that segment for us of your video.
Hi, I'm Sam, and basically this live stream is geared towards beginners who would like to delve into green screen, and also professionals who would like to maintain the production value of their projects while working from home and remotely with their teams.
Okay, so some basic tools and equipment you need to shoot green screen are obviously a camera. Any decent camera will do. The better the camera, the easier it is for the software to separate and extract the greens from your subject. For basic level green screen shoot, you'll need a tripod and lights. At least 2 light sources. If you have more, that's even better. And finally, a green screen. Make sure it is non-reflective. If you do not have a green screen, use a blue screen. No blue screen? Use a green wall or blue wall. Anything that is the furthest away from the human skin tone. If you have none of that, you can use a white wall as well. But it comes with some limitations to your talent choice and more work during post-production. But I can show you how later in the session. But first.
All right, so that kind of gives you the basic setup. Let me get back to our shared screen here. Hi, everyone. So what type of software do you use to do all of your compositing and blending?
Okay, fully After Effects.
So all After Effects, okay. Yeah. So if you don't have a green screen, there are some alternatives. And are there any considerations for each of these?
Okay, let's say if you don't have a green screen, you probably don't have a blue screen as well. So you have to resort to using walls. So walls, what are the options? Yellow, no, because skin tone. Red, no. Probably blue walls, if you have blue walls. If you have green walls, it's okay. But if you don't have, I'm sure you have a white wall. Just like behind you, right?
Right, exactly.
So white wall. I'm not sure if it works with blonde hair. All right. And then other considerations for white wall is your clothing must not be white, especially at the outlines. If not, the software will find it difficult to key out the whites.
Okay.
But it's okay to have whites here.
Okay, so your outline has to be, I can't have like these white stripes against the wall.
Yeah, that is...
it's a bad choice. Can you paint a wall in your apartment, like blue or green? Do a little
why not?
little accent wall?
Yeah.
Perfect. So there you go, guys. If you're looking to do a very easy green screen, something that you don't have to set up, just paint one wall in your house or apartment, green or blue, and you should be good to go, ready to
Well,
start.
that gives me an idea.
You're going to start doing
Okay.
some home improvement.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about if you're working, with a confined space. Maybe you live in a studio apartment or one bedroom, and you haven't given much thought into your space before getting a green screen. Let's take a look at the demo that you've created for how to work within confined spaces.
Let's cover on how to set up and light a green screen in a confined space. Avoid setting it up against a window with light source, like what I'm doing here, unless you have thick curtains. You want a controlled lighting environment. And that is why I'm closing the curtains right now. And turn off your ceiling lights if possible. Now that we have controlled environment, lighting in a confined space with a minimal amount of lights. Normally, I will have a DP do the lighting for me during the actual shoots, but what I'm sharing here is what I normally do for pitch videos and animatics when I don't really have a DP around to help me. I don't really know what I'm doing actually, but there's two things that I'm trying to achieve here when shooting green screen. Number one, light it in a way so that it makes it easier for the software to separate and extract the greens from your subject. Number two, lighting it according to the background that you're going to insert in post. Normally the setup would be one set of lights to light the green screen and another separate set of lights to light the subject and other secondary lights for artistic purposes. Let's say if you only have two lights to work on, put one on the left and one on the right. We are using these two lights to light up both the green screen and the subject. This is a big no-no if you tell this to a DP because it might create shadows. But this is a tutorial about making stuff happen with the minimal amount of equipment. Our two light setup might result in shadows from the subject onto the green screen, depending on how you place the lights and how big a space you have to work with. All you have to do is use your own logic to place the lights at the sweet spot where the subject is lighted up properly without casting too strong a shadow on the green screen. Once done, if you have extra lights, you can play around with other lighting setups, such as this, or even these side lights. But these are secondary and just for artistic purposes, but the primary ones you need to shoot in a confined space are two lights.
All right, that's awesome. So invest in some thick curtains if you don't have some. I'm sure you can get Target or Amazon Prime hopefully to ship some to you. And it's okay to use two lights if you have a small space. This tutorial is all about making stuff work. Where do you do most of your green screen work? Do you typically work in a studio space or do you have like a little space carved out in your home?
Okay, for actual shoots, I will shoot it in a green screen studio. But for pitch videos, I will shoot it at home.
Oh, great. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Where are you doing? I guess right now, having to stay at home, you're doing all your green screen at home then.
Yes, correct.
So you've
At
had
home.
to kind of adapt your commercial work at your home space then.
Yes, correct. And it only takes me 5 seconds to roll out of the bed through the green screen.
That's dangerous. That's where you get into bad habits.
Yeah.
Have you added your daughter to your payroll yet?
I still enjoy the concept of free child labor, so maybe I'll decide.
Perfect. So let's get into some basic do's and don'ts when setting up your green screen.
Okay.
I think first and foremost, lighting. It's all about lighting and how you arrange your lighting kit, avoiding shadows, shooting a high resolution. So let's go ahead and watch your demo for that. And again, if you guys have any questions in the forums, let us know, and we'll be happy to answer them after this segment.
For shooting green screen, what we want to do is to avoid extremely uneven lighting. This is an example. Look at a bright spot. What this will do is to cause the software to be unable to figure out the green spots that you want removed from the clip. What you want is an even lighting on the screen. Keep experimenting and moving around the lights until you get it right. One of my DPs normally use a small device to check the lights. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a small device which he will use to check the evenness of the lighting. Light meter. Yeah, I just got it. It's called a light meter. Avoid extreme shadows from the subject. Basically the same reason as uneven lighting. The software might not be able to read the greens that they are supposed to extract. And the solution is to get your subject to stand further away from the green screen. Be aware of reflective surfaces on subjects' clothing such as white or silver. They might reflect onto the surface of their clothes or props. But let's say if you really need to have that silver in your shot, go ahead. Try keying it in software. If it doesn't work, you can make arrangements to rotoscope the subject instead of chroma keying it. Lighting with a background in mind. If your pre-production timeline allows you to do a pre-composite prior to the shoot, go for it. You can show your pre-composited background to the DP to help set the lights according to it. If you don't have the luxury of creating a pre-composite before shoot, not a problem. Just adjust your composite in post according to the lighting setup created by the DP. Shoot in the highest resolution possible. This is a no-brainer. The last thing you want is a background which looks way more high-res than your subject. Avoid motion blur. Because once again, the software might have trouble figuring out the greens to extract at the blurred areas. All you gotta do is adjust the camera settings to reduce the motion blur for fast action scenes. The solution has got something to do with shutter speed, I think. I can't confirm this because I don't want to spread the wrong information because I'm not technically sound with the camera myself. But once again, if you have motion blur in your shot by accident, all you gotta do is execute some good old intensive rotoscoping. Using a lighting stand to check focus. I normally do this for the animatics in my pitch videos. This is for the times when you yourself are the subject in front of the camera, which has no autofocus, and you have no camera operator around to check focus for you.
Great. So it looks like we got some questions in the forum. So we'll go ahead and get to those. So we have a couple questions from Adam Chen. So are there different levels of quality for green screens besides being non-reflective? Is there anything else we should be careful about?
Okay, get as bright green color as you can. So mine was pretty dark. It's not ideal. So you get the brighter greens, those are better.
Great. And is there like any specific material that it should be made out of?
I'm not sure.
And then Adam also asked, how much should you be paying for one? Like, what's a good rate on a quality green screen cloth?
I'm not sure actually. Somebody gave this to me actually.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
I think Adam, you'll have to do some cost comparison shopping.
Yeah.
And maybe we can follow up in the forum if we do find a good answer to that.
Yeah, but I can tell you the price of this, the one in the video. It was less than $50.
Okay.
And my friend bought it from China.
And is that what you've been using to do a lot of your stuff?
For the pitch videos.
For pitch videos. Okay, so we'll show some examples of those pitch videos. So if you know, Adam, if you're happy with that quality, then I would say, you know, maybe start, and especially if you're brand new to this, start with something like that. And, you know, if it becomes a concern over time, invest in something that's a little more expensive and higher quality. Do you have to also be concerned about like the creases in the cloth?
Oh, I used to be concerned about the creases because like before I actually started editing green screen by myself. So I always tell the DP, make it perfect, please, the lighting, no shadows and everything. But once I started doing pitch videos for Tongal and I had to shoot myself in front of green screen, I realized, oh, crease is actually, the software can key it out. The problem is shadows.
Oh, the shadow is really the main
for
issue.
me at least, the crease wasn't much of a problem for me.
Okay, so you're
as long as it's not, as long as it's not too major until it creates a black shadow, I think should be fine.
Okay. As long as the software you're using can differentiate between yourself
Yeah,
and the green screen.
but not too big of a crease.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep it safe.
Yeah.
So you're not like getting your green screen dry cleaned every few weeks.
Screw that.
Just crumple it up and put it in the closet somewhere.
Yeah.
Does the resolution impact processing time in terms of kind of or moving all of your camera data into your computer?
Yes. Besides the importing the files into the PC, it involves it makes editing time longer also.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Do you have any like tips for how to speed up that process, or any equipment that you use to kind of help process that data faster?
I think just getting a better CPU and RAM, I think that would solve the problem.
Okay. So investing in better computers.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of the more intermediate stuff, and blending. Compositing is all about composition, right? It's all about the layers of objects that you're putting together to build that scene. And you have some really great tricks for how to create a really rich composition, with even some added camera movement to make the world that you're creating feel very real and very kind of 3D. So we'll get into that segment, and then we'll also take some more questions after that as well. Switch here.
Here we are at After Effects. So basically, compositing is a process of layering your green screen subject against a background. Using After Effects 3D camera, you can move the camera any way you wish. And this is a short, simple video of a subject against a background. Now, depending on the situation, the more detailed you are with the additional layers, the more realistic it might turn out to be, especially when you move the camera. And I'm just showing you how adding multiple layers to the shot creates a richer viewing experience. Just in case you might want to be creative with camera works and perhaps perform an orbiting movement, watch what happens. Everything turns flat. So what you can do is to create 3D objects using flat surfaces. I'm not a 3D artist, but sometimes I have to resort to using flat 2D surfaces to create 3D objects, especially when I need to move the camera in an orbiting movement. A good example of this would be something I did for BetterHelp, using flat surfaces to create a 3D object. These are some of the other examples of the orbiting movement. Here's the green screen shot. And these are the elements used to create the 3D world that the subject is in. And here's another green screen. And all the elements involved. But what if I really need a 3D object with a curved surface? I'll just hire a 3D artist. This is the final comp from a project called KBuy. And these are the elements that I have ground. To move the camera, you can do this. Now, blending. Making everything look like they...
I actually want to pause it before we get into blending, because I do have some questions for you, Sam.
Okay, no problem.
One thing, I love the sound mix on these segments. I'm like dancing in the background.
Oh, yeah. Bopping the head.
It's really good. So in terms of like making those 3D objects out of 2D shapes, how labor intensive is that? Are all the objects in the background something that's original that you're making?
It's not fully original. It is those, let's say, the surfaces, they are taken from like stock websites such as Envato and all that. Let's say I need a cupboard. Let's say I need a table. So I'll go to this website, this stock website and search
Your
for
little
table.
online shopping.
Yeah, online shopping. And then I'll get a top view of a table, the side view of the table, the bottom view, the left, the right. So I'll do it in the composite.
So is this actually a site made for this, or is this just you going to like furniture sites to find
Yes, I go to
these
furniture
materials?
sites. No, just kidding.
Okay.
I go to this website called Envato.
Envato, okay.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds very familiar.
so fellow VFX artists out there, if you guys have any recommendations, I would like to know more websites because I feel I'm very limited right now. So
Yeah.
please let me know.
Sounds like a good side hustle, like, you know, kind of creating those images in stock photos for people who doing green screen. Yeah, because I was going to say that final shot of the woman in her office, all the furniture looks so realistic at the end, and I know you're
Yeah,
kind of
everything is
showing.
from that website.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And how long does it take you to kind of put all that stuff together? Like for that scene specifically, how long would that take you? Like hours and hours, or?
Yes, hours and hours. And it actually started, let's say, okay, there's a green light phase, there's a pre-production phase, and there's a shooting phase, and there's a post-production phase. So when I got the green light, I knew I had to start working on the 3D already. If not, I will not have enough time for the post-production phase. It takes longer than that. So I started working on this 3D world for that project, The Woman in the Office, during pre-production. So then I had enough time.
Is that like a typical workflow for you for green screen? Especially when you have time
for green screen,
deadlines.
I always have to steal time from the pre-production phase to accommodate. Yeah.
So I guess keeping that in mind when you're pitching on projects, you kind of know like how much time you can really dedicate with pre-production and post-production on building that scene. So you're kind of knowing how, you know, you're not setting yourself up for failure in that sense if you kind of know how long it takes you. Good. Well, awesome. Let's get into some blending. So before we get into blending, I just want it is all about making those layers look like they belong together, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to show us a couple of different techniques to basically just make it look like you're shooting with a camera that has depth of field, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get into that. Oops, I didn't change. There you go.
There are probably more that I missed, but these are the major ones to take care of. Color correction, depth of field, lighting, motion blur, and color grading. So, checklist number 1, color correction. After you have sorted out the placement of your subject and the background and how the camera moves, I normally work on the color correction so I can make all the layers seem like they belong together. I'm going to turn on the color effects that I've done for this one by one. And now you can see the difference between before and after color correction. It is not perfect, but it will do for now. Now, we move on to depth of field. Setting the appropriate depth of field according to your camera angle and distance from the subject. This is an extremely wide shot, so not much depth of field is needed. So use sparingly. And this is before, and this is after adding depth of field. As for lighting, if I find that I can't blend all the layers together due to my lack of skills, I would resort to software lighting. There's a lighting option in After Effects where you can light up your composite by placing the lights wherever you wish, controlling its color and intensity at the same time. Due to the time constraints of this live stream, I can only show you the possibilities of what you can do in After Effects. For an in-depth step-by-step tutorial on how to achieve the techniques that we have discussed so far, maybe you can head on down to YouTube or Google. Here are the possibilities of what you can do with lighting up your scenes in After Effects. I'm going to turn on the lights one by one. I can even do flashing lights and adjust the color of the lights. So there you go. Now, for motion blur. Let's say your camera movement is fast. Your composite might look fake without the motion blur. Watch what happens when I turn on the motion blur. A more realistic blur can be seen when the camera is moving fast. And as for color grading, normally I would just do the final color grade over here. But sometimes I do export everything out layer by layer to do it in another project file. Now, it is here that I add the final touches. Maybe add some final touches of depth of field if needed. And that's it. This is the final output.
Pretty awesome. Did you film those each of those dancers individually, or did you have them all choreographed in the same studio?
How many are there? Yeah, more than 10, right? So basically, there's only 3 dancers actually. So I duplicated them, and then there were like probably 7 human talents for this shoot.
Oh,
And the more talents you have in the shoot, the harder it is to lock down one shooting date where everyone is free. So
yeah.
this project, it took me probably 3 days of shooting separately. So the dancers, yes, they were separate.
Oh, each of them were separate, or just like two?
Two of them were shot on the same day. One of them was shot on a different day.
Wow, that's incredible. So I think that just kind of, for our audience
So
out there,
blending them together.
blending them
Yeah.
all together, and perfect choreography. That's got to be really challenging, especially in terms of blocking. So I guess for our audience out there, it just shows you what you can accomplish with your green screen from either your home or your studio, and all the tricks that you can use to bring it all together. How much time did it take to create that one scene? Was that like a couple of weeks of work?
Days, week, I guess, probably a week.
And what's kind of like your general rule of thumb to ensure that the lighting looks realistic?
I guess follow your instincts. And then if it doesn't work out, maybe the next project will be better.
Yeah.
So you keep doing until you build it to a good level.
Yeah. And also just thinking like a DP, where is this light source coming from? Is it coming, because a lot of the, there was some, clearly that was like almost like a soundstage type environment, or like a concert. So lights could be coming from the top, they can be coming from behind. So yeah, I think just kind of looking at your scene and probably putting on your DP hat will help. But I love that you toggled off all the effects so you can see how you layered them together. That is so cool.
Oh yeah.
So now we're going to be talking about some of the things that you've actually been working through as part of your contingency plan in case you have to work from home longer than expected. So this covers things like cloning yourself, working remotely with other green screen artists, and even replacing people's faces on other people's bodies. So it looks like you have more than one actor. Maybe we can do a deep fake live stream at some point with you.
No, I'm waiting for someone in Tongal to do that live stream. I'm sure there's one of you deep fakers out there.
Yes. So I guess, what are you, before we get into that segment, what are you doing right now to put this contingency plan into place?
I'm looking for actors or talents worldwide who have a green screen at home. Okay, so I can collaborate with them, just in case the shutdown prolongs.
Right.
Yeah.
So both actors and like other filmmakers then.
Yeah, maybe filmmakers who can act of all races, so that I can present to the client. Yeah, here's what I can do.
Very interesting. Cool. And what's kind of been your best strategy for connecting with people on such a specific thing?
Don't know. But but what I would think is first I would search on YouTube those vloggers, maybe those medium range vloggers,
Yeah.
and then I see if that one uses a green screen. Then maybe I'll just get in touch. That's my
Great.
contingency plan. Yeah.
That's awesome. So everyone in the audience, if you want to ask more questions, feel free to. We're happy to answer your questions live. We also will be sharing your email after this, Sam, so people can get in touch with you afterwards in case they have questions or if they do have a green screen at home and want to collaborate with you. That's one way. But I'll go ahead and play this really interesting segment for all of you guys.
Due to the current state of affairs, let's say the shutdown were to magically end by tomorrow, I'm pretty sure that everyone is still going to be extra cautious in terms of congregating outdoors. So I'm not sure what this means for our shooting industry. Will talents be as willing to participate in shoots as before? And how long will this take? Weeks, months, or years? So I am currently working on several contingency plans. So I will be sourcing for talents and actors around the world who already have the green screen set up at home, so we can collaborate. It's not going to be easy, but if anyone has any recommendations, please do let me know. And another thing that I'm working on right now is face replacement technology using motion tracking on how to replace a face onto a different person's body seamlessly. I really hope that I do not have to resort to this, because this workflow is super, super unnecessary compared to just shooting a talent like that. So I really hope that we sort this virus thing out as soon as possible and get back to normal. So now, if you find yourself having to shoot at home in a confined space, we have already spoken about how to light up a green screen in a small space. But what if there are still shadows from the talent onto the green screen? So here's what you can do.
Here's how. Watch when I chroma key this scene. No matter how I adjust the key light software, it just doesn't work. So what you can do is to do rotoscoping instead. The process of cutting out subject frame by frame. Let the software figure out which part to roto, and when it gets confused in the middle, just jump in and fix the roto. You'll have probably 25 frames to roto for every 1 second of clip. A more complex workflow, but the show must go on. And touch on using a white wall to replace a green screen. So what you can do is to do rotoscoping instead. The process of cutting out subject frame. For shooting white walls, your wardrobe outline of your subjects must not contain any white, because it will confuse the software again, because it will find it hard to figure out which white colors to extract. But if there's any white areas in your subjects, let's say inner clothing or their eyes or their teeth, it can be easily rotoscoped out, but not the sides. So now you see, everything white is gone. Also, in order to do this white wall thing, you might not be able to do this if your talent's hair is, let's say, white or blonde. But in the future, maybe you can try lighting the lights in a way that their hair color is separated from the whites in the wall. So that might work, but I'm not sure. And finally, placing 2 or more actors shot at different times into the same scene. This is an example of my pitch video. Multiple versions of me, obviously shot at different times. How you light up the talents is key to making this happen. Taking into consideration how the light will appear on each talent in that particular setting. I hate this part, and I will normally leave it to a DP to figure this out because it's way too technical for my brains. But if you find yourself in a situation without a DP, just do whatever feels logical to you. And that's what I did for this pitch video. But if you screw up the lighting part, it's okay. But your color grading game must be on point to salvage the shots. Do watch out for the talent's eyeline as well. in regards to where they are looking. So what I did here was wrong. Look at where my eyes are looking at. I'm not exactly looking at the person in shades when that was the original intention. So try to avoid these mistakes if possible. And that's it.
That looks like so much fun to make.
Oh yeah.
Do you just have all those costumes laying around, or did you have to go
Well,
out?
were there cost? Oh yeah, those were my clothing actually. So yeah.
That's really funny.
So I had to go to the wardrobe and this is for the girl, this is for the guy, this is for the clubber, and then change.
So this contingency plan is really meant to help get everyone's wheels spinning in terms of how they can incorporate green screen into their work to continue to work safely. However, I think once things do go back to normal, you may find that you'll continue to use green screen as part of your production mix because it saves you time and money. I mean, you made that entire video just using yourself and just some different costume changes and your green screen. So I think we're starting to see some of the benefits on screen already beyond just using it right now. And I think obviously the ability to create multiple locations using a variety of backgrounds is a huge advantage, especially if you don't have a big location budget. And you already talked about what we talked about Envato. What is your go-to kind of source for backgrounds?
Okay, Envato, and also in terms of background, sometimes I go to pexels.com.
Okay.
Shutterstock. So, but sometimes even this tree website doesn't have the ideal thing that we are looking for.
Right.
So we have to really composite our own, step by step.
Right.
But sometimes you can get away with it, like, this is the one.
Right.
So I can just use this. Yeah.
I think for the purpose of proof of concept too, probably.
Anything goes.
Anything goes. You're just trying to make something quick and
Yes.
show the client. And also, I think being able to place two actors in the same location as well as cloning yourself is, something that can save people time and money, especially during proof of concepting. I think there's so many other applications for this other than just trying to improve your production value right now. I think everyone should find value with this down the road. When it comes to actually replacing people's faces. What are some of the considerations that you're working through right now for that technical feat?
I'm still browsing through YouTube, looking at what is the right software, how to achieve it, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But I can't share anything because I'm afraid it is the wrong information.
No worries.
So I do not want to share the wrong information for now. But if I discover it, one more live stream.
One more, yeah, we'll just do a live stream on replacing people's faces.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then in terms of, adding all sorts of cool lighting effects, I think that's another way, people can save time and money on their budget. So they don't have to bring in a lighting designer and, a big crew for their DP. I think there are all sorts of applications here. And then the amazing camera movement too. Like you are moving this camera, around the room. And, typically that would require, some rigs, a dolly, all sorts of equipment, but you're able to do it within Adobe Effects, right?
Yes.
So again, I think that's another way people can probably save.
You can do what you can't normally do in a real shoot.
Right.
Sometimes some weird stuff, but I always have to constantly fight the urge to don't overdo it.
Right.
Just keep it real. Because there's so many things you can do, right? I can just go crazy stuff, but
yeah.
chill.
It's just so cool though. Well, awesome. Let's get into some of your proof of concept work. So as we mentioned before, not only do you use green screen to increase the production value of your projects, but you're also using it to, capture the client's attention and, get the green light on projects by using your pitch video as an opportunity to, show them a proof of concept of your idea. So let's go ahead and jump into that segment. Again, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask in the forums. We are ready and waiting to answer your questions.
So basically, I'm not really good with words, and I do not have a strong camera presence. And I kind of like just sit there and do an interview and explain my concept in a meaningful way to the client. I know I'll definitely screw it up. So what I'll do for the pitch video instead is create an animatic right off the bat, so I can present something as close as possible to the real deal, so that there are no surprises on the client's end. Because the way it is with VFX, green screen especially, is that every change the brand comments on requires more time to work on. And every opportunity to present an idea as close as possible to the final product during the pitch phase is one that I'll take. And creating an animatic helps because I can see for myself if what I had in mind actually worked. For the parts which doesn't work, I'll have to rectify it during pre-production.
Very cool. I love the back-to-back shots so you can see the before and after. I feel like you can create a whole reel of that. So knowing that, you know, a proof of concept doesn't have to be perfectly polished, what's kind of your main focus when you're working on one?
Okay, so normally for Tongal's projects, it's about 6 days for live action pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment I see that project, oh, this is nice, I'll try. So from then on, it's always a scramble to get the pitch video done. It's like,
Right.
okay, brainstorming, pre-offline, shooting, compositing. So normally I will work on that, but it's always a scramble.
Mm-hmm.
And I will always like send the pitch video in at the very last minute. Yeah.
But you found that it's a pretty successful strategy, right?
Yeah, maybe it's one of the elements. I do believe that what helps get the green light is actually if you are the right creator for the job,
Yeah.
for the project.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're able to execute that based on your portfolio
Mm-hmm.
and also your concept.
Yes, the
So
concept.
it's a fine mixture of these three things. But if there's another creator who has the same credibility as you and has the same level of concept as you, then the pitch video might save your ass.
Yeah. And you know, on Tongal, you can usually pitch up to 5 times on projects. Are you finding that you really just have to go all in on one pitch then?
One.
Only one.
Because compositing is such a major.
Right, it takes a long time. How does proof of concepting help you as a creator think through your ideas and test them out?
It's like, wait, I'm thinking. It's a good way for me to, okay, let's say the project gets greenlit.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have a composite there. So all I have to do is just start working and fine-tuning it until I actually shoot the green screen talent and just insert the talent into the composite. Because I already have a composite done during the pitch phase. All I have to do is just fine-tune it.
Does it save you time in pre-production, having some of that content already made and maybe some of those selections already made, or do you start completely from scratch when you get the green light?
Sometimes I start from scratch, but sometimes the pitch video's composite is kind of good to go. So all I have to do is fine-tune it. But I would say 50% is start from scratch. Another 50% is just fine-tuning the pitch video's composite.
Interesting. So yeah, a lot of the techniques that you learned have been through YouTube tutorials, and we're going to be posting some of those links that you recommend. I believe they're already posted on YouTube. I think we'll be posting them on Facebook later on as well. So we consider this continuing education for all of you who want to go out and start looking up some tutorials. Sam has curated a list for all of you. So have you learned almost everything about green screen through YouTube, or have you also taken some classes?
Classes, no. YouTube classes, yes. I mean, free. I just searched online and then. So, but some tutorials, like they take 15 minutes for the introduction until they actually get to the actual technique. So I always look for those snappy tutorials, like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. get in and get out.
Well, I think your demos show that, you know, you like the snappy kind of.
Oh yeah.
You've learned from that.
Yeah, the problem is snappy is like you can't learn the in-depth thing.
Right. It's all about who's teaching. So how do you keep yourself, I guess, aware of new techniques and new technology around green screen? Or are there certain websites that you go to for that kind of content?
None. It's purely YouTube.
Purely YouTube.
So unless I see a really nice music video, like, oh, Billie Eilish has this video, then I will search for their the making. Let's see, oh, that's how they did it. So I'll try to. That's something to keep in mind for future use.
Kind of look for.
Yeah, I like to watch the making.
Yes, the making of.
Yeah,
that's true. You can learn a lot from that. Well, awesome. Let's go ahead and watch your continuing education segment. This is going to be our last segment, and then we'll open up to Q&A and share SamCF's contact info if you want to continue the conversation. So I'm going to kick on over to continuing education.
So there you go. No one person is able to master all the techniques in the many branches of VFX. So if there's any VFX that you need done in your project and you're not familiar with it, maybe you can head on down to YouTube to check out some of the tutorials over there. What I've covered here so far is basically just showing you the possibilities of what you can do with After Effects. And for a more in-depth tutorial on how to achieve what we have discussed so far using whatever software you use, here are some of the tutorials that I've watched, and Tongal might be able to post them in the link. Take a look at them if you're interested in chroma keying and using 3D camera in After Effects. And that's about it. This is Green Screen Under Quarantine.
Thank you for that.
This is Green Screen Under Quarantine.
I love it. A perfect outro. So yeah, we're going to open up to Q&A if anyone has questions. Doesn't look like we have any right now, but that's okay.
You ask me a question.
I'll ask you. I have a Q&A. As always, Sam, you always over-deliver, and I'm sure that the audience, people who are watching now, people who are going to watch down the road, that they're able to really learn something today, and you know, they'll be hopefully applying a lot of these green screen techniques at home. So I'm going to share your contact again if anyone wants to continue the conversation with Sam over email, get connected, ask some questions. Feel free to do that. And I know you're looking for more people who have green screens at home. So
yeah.
A great way to connect. But yeah, this was very educational, and again, we really appreciate all the work that you put into creating these demos and working with your daughter. It was really, really helpful. So we'll share your YouTube links and Facebook, and I think we've already done it on YouTube. But yeah, really excited to see some of your work. If anyone wants to share some of their green screen creations with us, you can reach out to us at Tongal Team on Instagram or at info@Tongal. We'd love to share them with our community as you continue to either learn green screen or incorporate it into your current work. And keep an eye out for more projects on Tongal that you may be able to incorporate green screen into. It was a pleasure talking to you, Sam. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Enjoy your day.